facts about money that will blow your mind. You are more likely to die in a car accident on your way to buy a lottery ticket than you are winning the lottery. LeBron James will make about 3 times more money with his NBA salary than all 151 WNBA players combined.
Look at that.
The mascot for the Denver Nuggets basketball team will also make about 3 times more money than the highest paid WNBA player. George Clooney once gave 14 of his closest friends $1 million as a surprise gift with one condition. They all had to take it or none of them got it.
That's a
if you started with 1 penny and doubled your money every single day, it would take you less than 28 days to become a millionaire.
That's it?
A lawyer made a deal with a 90-year-old woman that said if he paid her rent every single month, he would keep the apartment after she died. He died 1 year before she did, over 30 years later. The lawyer ended up paying $180,000 for an apartment that he never lived in.
Try this. Yeah, that's a lady going down some stairs that are deserving of the title, The Stairway to Heaven. Now, I can tell you where this is and why it's so, but thought we'd make this interactive. Which one of you knows where this clip is from and why the stairs there appear like this? If any
first test that we did, Pastor, was we went and we sweated. And I sweated for a bunch of days, but I sweated and collected the sweat samples and then an engineer and sent them off to the lab and said, what's coming out when there's no chemtrails? And what we found on the sky fallout, we corroborated that what's coming out of us are aluminum, barium, and strontium. Aluminum is far and away the largest short-circuiting heavy metal that we are being exposed to in these chemtrails. So with no chemtrails, the amount that came out in my sweat, Pastor, was 281 nanograms per gram. Now that's more than triple any other metal coming out. So we know that where that's still coming in from, every time there is a chemtrail, and maybe I didn't sweat before that, it showed up. And now check this number out. 281 is the number. Now, the day after a chemtrail, same experiment, just same sample size, everything. We collected the sweat again, 2,958 nanograms per gram. We went from 281 to 2,958 nanograms overnight, just with chemtrail days. When you see a chemtrail, it is your duty to sweat within 24 hours to get that waste that you have just breathed in, you couldn't even see it. Get it out of your body before it can embed in your cell structure and start disrupting the electricity that God designed your body to flow on.
I always want to go onto an island. But not that island. Anthrax? From testing. See, we always testing on our poor Mother Earth, ain't we? Always trying to destroy the Earth. Can't even go to an island now because they want to test on anthrax.
Inside of humans, we have a non-metallic gold, right? It's called AU3+, bro, right? In biocrystals in the brain. I want to really break something down. Under certain theoretical electromagnetic or energetic conditions like high-frequency stimulation, radiation, or consciousness resonance, like binaural beats, bro, that gold can change its energy state, momentarily shifting how it interacts with light, electricity, or even thought itself, which means with the right technology, if you could actually influence somebody through other crystals, like a phone, you could actually engage and disengage the power inside of a person. This is what it can symbolically mean when you think about ancient mystics, bro. The light within men, the auric gold, becomes invisible when the frequency rises. It ascends beyond visible reality. So when you think about the claustrum, Santa Claus going down the chimney, right? You practicing semen retention, it goes down the spine, right, at the base, right? And then it comes back up. You're supposed to experience enlightenment, nirvana, some type of esoteric, magical experience, right? That you can't properly put words to. Well, I want y'all to think about something. If you're a race, an advanced race, right? And then I also want y'all to consider this. When they say your heart must be light as a feather when you die to transcend, or you must have a heart of gold, it's because literally, not just metaphorically, gold is in us. Now, if there's an ancient race who can actually have a technology, right, that can extract this gold out of us when we pass on, once our body starts to degrade, we become biodegradable to the earth, all of this crap, they can extract this. Let's just say they got some type of technology to take your gold so that you don't actually transcend into another level. Then they use it for whatever their purpose. It could actually be to strengthen their ozone layer, scattering you into an atmosphere, and you can't reincarnate, which would literally be not just hell on earth, hell in some universe, right? Because your essence is now maintaining somebody else's planet. I want you to really think about this, bro. Or, right, they just use it to fuel their technology and continue this game of feast, harvest, and then doing whatever else they're doing inside of the universe. But I really want y'all to understand, bro, we can't see the highest level of the electromagnetic spectrum. We can't hear, smell, taste, none of that, bro. And I feel like there's a reason for that. Back in the day, oxygen levels used to be way higher. Now they're lower. People apparently were bigger, animals were bigger, plants and trees were bigger. So you have to weaken the earth, the atmosphere, the oxygen, you weaken the human, and you make them highly suggestible to your willpower. Bro, I want y'all to also understand when your eyes can't see the highest level of the spectrum of life itself. See, what y'all gotta understand is ionic gold, A3+, it dissolves in solutions, and there's no metallic reflection. When you superheat, is it visible? Yes, it can become pale yellow or transparent, meaning not completely actually invisible, but just not reflective in the light spectrum, yielding it in an appearance that looks invisible. We can actually, theoretically, be surrounded. You know, they say you can't see spirits. What if that's why? It's because they're harvesting all of the gold out of people that have passed away or people who get kidnapped. Theoretically. Again, this is a movie conceptualized idea. Let me ask you something else. How y'all know that all of the gold that people are wearing on Earth that came out of somebody's dead body? You know, when they say people be digging for gold? What if the gold they're digging for are the rotten corpses inside of the ground that they buried? And they send a specialized team to all of these different funeral homes to extract this stuff out of the people. How do you know? Again, entertainment. This would be an out-cold movie idea. But I just want y'all to consider, you know, if there are fallen hybrids, there are multiple paths to how you can control a human being, most human beings. And I feel like they're trying to track a genetic code, right? People who can kind of see through the game. I feel like in the beginning, they was able to control the power. Through years of reincarnation, interbreeding, different wars, the bloodline got scattered. So is there a more pure, stronger hybrid bloodline? I believe so. But are regular people like you watching this video potentially one of these things? Is it potentially in your bloodline? Are you, like, really? It could be. It actually could be, because that could actually suggest, and it's plausible to believe, why certain people see life so drastically different. If they actually say things and do things and create things that the world hasn't seen or heard.
Connected differently.
It's because they're tapping into a deeper level of resonance based off of their gold and their crystalline structures. They're not as dead inside. You understand? Maybe that's what Jesus was and Buddha. Maybe they understood how to ascend. And it was through not dabbling with worldly things, indoctrination, and these spells that we're literally casting upon ourselves, apparently. That would be an outcome movie idea. Again, for the sake of the video, entertainment, satire, just alleged, just my opinion. But if there was a higher level of creation out there, there are more than a handful of ways they can control everybody on Earth, dog. And they create the structure of trillionaires, billionaires, millionaires, influence, distraction, jobs, all of these different cycles to keep people lost until you die. And not only that, but they trick you into agreeing with it. They trick you into thinking that this is all life is. Now, these beings exist, right? You have to know good and evil is not just a conceptualized thing. These things
I could do a content for sex guys.
What if I told you the Titanic never actually sank? So the owner of the boat, JP Morgan, actually had two boats, the Titanic and the Olympic. The Olympic was older and more run down and was also in an accident. So the theory states that JP Morgan sank the boat on purpose because he knew he would get a lot of money from the insurance policy. But why sink the newly built Titanic when you could just scratch off the paint, swap the names, and sink the Olympic instead? But it gets even worse when you realize that JP Morgan's business competitors were also on the boat and not one of them made it out. And guess who wasn't on the boat? JP Morgan. He canceled just minutes before it left. And there was a man named James Fenton who worked on building the boat and survived the sinking. And on his deathbed, his last words were, "The Titanic never sank. It was the Olympic." And he said he was told that if he ever said anything, something bad would happen to him.
Most people see it as people getting taken over by some sort of entity or spirit. But is that really the case? Well, let's take a look at this footage. In the clip, a young man is seen writhing in a dirty gutter, his body thrashing wildly. No one knows what led to this moment or why he suddenly lost control. 1 minute, he was fine, and the next, he was flailing uncontrollably, eventually ending up in the gutter. The behavior is erratic and his movements seem unnatural, fueling the belief that this could be a case of demonic possession or spiritual influence. But skeptics say it could have been a medical condition or even a psychological break that caused his actions. What are your thoughts? When it comes to tales of spirits, science often explains these things away as nothing more than frequencies, waves, or illusions. But did you know that some of the world's most brilliant scientists and inventors speculated that these so-called spirits, entities, and higher beings might actually exist? Yes, Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison, two of history's greatest minds, were among those who entertained such beliefs. Back in 1901, Nikola Tesla published an article titled Talking with the Planets, where he claimed to have made contact with entities from beyond Earth. Using a device he created, Tesla reported hearing strange voices that sounded like beings communicating in an unknown language. Similarly, Thomas Edison, known for his revolutionary inventions, worked on something he called the spirit phone. This device, according to him, was designed to help communicate with spirits from the beyond. The audio you're hearing now is a representation of what Tesla described hearing: mysterious, otherworldly signals. I know you're tempted to think this is some devil worship, but sunny days call for... I know you're tempted to think this is some devil worship, but it's not. Welcome to the Krampus parades, or Krampusschlaf. If you're hearing it for the first time, it refers to the traditional alpine events in Austria, Germany, and nearby regions where performers dressed as the terrifying Krampus storm through the streets to scare and entertain. Wearing elaborate wooden masks, fur costumes, and clanging cowbells, these Krampuses chase spectators, creating a mix of fear and excitement. Rooted in pre-Christian pagan traditions, the parades celebrate Krampus, the demonic counterpart of St. Nicholas who punishes naughty children. It's often held in December around St. Nicholas Day. These wild events are filled with roaring, laughter, and fire-lit spectacles, blending folklore with festive fun. Is this something you would want to attend? The creature had thick white fur and was sitting upright, almost human-like in posture. From its size and proportions, this was no ordinary animal. Its massive frame and humanoid shape resembled a Bigfoot. The sighting has stirred up quite a bit of speculation. Could this be an extremely rare version of the elusive Bigfoot, an albino variant? Many people have shared their theories, but no one has come up with a definitive explanation. What do you think? There is a remarkable feature known as the footprint of God, a giant footprint embedded in granite. The footprint is incredibly well defined. It clearly shows the shape of the toes, the arch, and the heel, making it look strikingly similar to a human foot, but on an enormous scale. The sheer size of the footprint suggests that if it belonged to a human-like creature, the creature would have been many times larger than any known human. Geologists have dated the granite in which the footprint is embedded to be millions of years old. It implies that the print was made long before humans are thought to have existed on Earth. Does this confirm the myths and legends from various cultures around the world that speak of giant beings? Well, it's hard to say, but these stories might have roots in real historical events or creatures. What do you think?
Here are some cities that you won't believe actually exist. Number 1 is Whittier, Alaska, where all residents live in the same building. All the residents of the city live in this 14-level building that used to be a former military facility. Inside, it has a school, a police station, a hospital, stores, a church, and more. Number 2 is Miracle Village in Florida. That is a city where only sex offenders live. The sex offenders decided to create their own city out in the middle of nowhere since it's hard for them to find places to live due to their criminal records. Number 3 is the sleeping city of Kalachi, where the residents just randomly fall asleep, even while walking. Between 2012 and 2015, the residents of Kalachi would suddenly begin to slur their words and then fall into a deep sleep that would last days or even weeks. Scientists eventually discovered that it was caused by heightened levels of carbon monoxide from Soviet-era uranium mines in the area.
See that? There's nobody there. Automation. I work at an automated dock. All these machines right here. There's no people. Hardly any people on this scene. This is what they're fighting about. I work at an automated dock right here, Port of LA, Long Beach. Keep fighting, brothers. Keep fighting.
It's undeniable that technology has greatly enhanced our workforce, making tasks faster, more efficient, and often safer. But let's not forget the other side of this coin. Technology is also replacing jobs, leaving many workers out of work. Take a look at this footage, captured by one of the workers at a port. In the video, you'll notice something striking. There are no humans in sight. Instead, it's just machines fully automated, taking on the tasks that were once done by men and women. This is exactly why port strikes are happening. Workers are being replaced and their livelihoods are at stake. But what happens when the few human roles left at these ports are taken over by machines? Where do those thousands of workers go? What becomes of the people who were sent home as technology continues to advance and take over? This is the harsh reality we are facing. And it's a question worth asking as we move forward into a more automated world.
See that? There's nobody there. Automation. I work at an automated dock. All these machines right here, there's no people. Hardly any people on this scene. This is what they're fighting about. I work at an automated dock right here, Port of LA, Long Beach. Keep fighting, brothers. Keep fighting.
How'd you feel about Tesla cars and Cybertrucks? They're quite innovative with their self-driving features. But to be honest, they kind of freak me out sometimes. Take this, for example. A group of people were driving by an alleged abandoned parking lot when they came across something eerie. The entire lot was filled with Teslas and Cybertrucks, and here's the strange part. They were all moving, but no one was inside them. These cars were just rolling around on their own, gliding through the lot as if something was controlling them. What's even more unsettling is that it looked like the cars had been left there, abandoned. Why would an entire lot be full of self-driving vehicles like this, and what could be causing them to move around? Julius has a theory. It's a testing site for these vehicles. That sounds logical, but what say you guys?
Guys, look at all these Cybertrucks and Teslas.
This is a very gross study, but it's one of my favorites. A little gross. You ready? Mm-hmm. Okay, so they brought people into the lab. They split them up into two different groups. They made the first group wear a sweatsuit where they catch your sweat and we're on the treadmill. So they sweat along the treadmill. The second group, they wore sweatsuits and they took them skydiving for the first time. Both groups sweat a lot. Treadmill, sweat, and skydiving sweat. And they gave them both sweat samples to smell for these poor people. Didn't know they were smelling. They went it. Everyone who smelled the skydiving sweat had an activation in their own amygdala, their own fear response triggered. In other words, when they smelled fear sweat, they didn't know why, they began to feel afraid. Everyone who smelled the treadmill sweat had no change at all. This means that, yes, we can talk about facial expressions and body language and vocal cues and words, but there's also something chemically happening with the people around us, that we can literally smell fear and
mentally weak children. Yes. Because we overdo for them. One of the concepts in the book I really love is if you do too much for your children, you are increasing your self-esteem by stealing theirs. That we develop mental toughness by solving problems. So if my daughter would forget her homework at home, nobody's bringing it to school. If she didn't bring a jacket on a cold day, even though her mother told her to, nobody's bringing her the jacket. When a child says, I'm bored, rather than you fix it, just say, I wonder what you're going to do about it. And then shut up. Let them begin to figure out their problem or the solutions to their problems rather than being overly involved with them.
People think is that hip-hop is homophobic, right? But here you have this guy sitting down explaining to a hip-hop journalist that actually the reality is that hip-hop has always had an explicitly LGBTQ, if you want to call it, agenda. Take a listen to this.
The industry grooms them to be overturned. Like if we go back to the Big Papa video, right? Why was there, you remember the scene in the bathroom? Why was there transgender pissing in the bathroom?
Wow.
And the guy, you don't remember?
Up, right?
Yeah. Go to the scene when Buster's talking to her at the bar and Big walk up and move in. And then when she say true, stop it right there and look at the knot in her throat.
Not the knot in her throat. Talking about this young lady?
Her name is Shamika. She was from Queens and she got killed because she was dating her, didn't know it was a man, and went to have sex with her and found out she was a man and she's dead and he's in jail. What I believe is that the Tupac Biggie got so gangster and so big that the agenda that they was about to push on us, that they was later pushed on us, it just got pushed back. They was getting ready to groom us right there. They was grooming us. We got a transgender in the Big Papa video in the bathroom and the lead woman. Not only in Big Papa and Warning, she's in the bed with Biggie, and then in the Flavor in Your Ear remix, she's dancing behind LL.
Right.
And Hype Williams is director, and she's the lead in all three of those videos, and he's the director of all three of those videos. And it's rumored that that was his chick.
That is a major clue right there, because it does seem like the industry is having a reckoning, and people are realizing that this really hasn't been about just creating music. Hollywood is not just creating music for your entertainment. They are giving out frequencies, and they are modifying your behavior based on the frequencies that they are giving out. And so it's important to know what it is that you're listening to.
Now the world is so caught up in technology that when anything goes wrong, like power outages or software crashes, everyone starts to panic because we have everything saved on the internet. But right after an update was made to the system.
If you look at the Army War College documents, if you look at the DoD documents, and you look at some other, deep level documents, they don't refer to those towers as cell phone towers. They refer to those as directed energy weapons, DEWs. They actually refer to your phone as a DEW, directed energy weapon, your router as a directed energy weapon, because they have to control you through frequencies, mostly through extremely low frequencies, HART frequencies, megahertz frequencies, 3, 4, 5G, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10G frequencies, gigahertz frequencies, microwave frequencies, radio frequencies. They can do it through music as well.
Wow.
There's good music with the solfeggio tones. And, and
so no more microwaves, you're saying? Don't use those?
Oh, throw your microwave away. The microwave kills all the nutrients in the food anyway.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, so that's when you get into, they also want a lot of metals in your body. They need a lot of metals in your bodies as transducers and as receivers. And they want you to be exposed to all these EMFs and all these frequency devices. So the solution is to get rid of all the chemicals and all the metals in your body. You could do that through toxin binders, ozonated activated charcoal, like a microsomal EDTA, some clay, stuff like that. Due to all of this transhumanism stuff, we're already coming up with solutions, which are just detox your body, make those decisions to start cleaning your liver. Do liver cleansing, do heavy metal cleansing, do parasite cleansing, clean and heal your gut. Put some really good probiotics in your gut, and try to avoid or protect yourself from any of the EMFs as much as possible.